look at this youth power. Look at the energy. We no longer talk of unicorns. We now talk of decacorns. सर ये कहाँ जा रहे हैं हम लोग? समझिए इस ताकत को सर. जंबोवंता ने हमें जगा दिया है. हमने अपनी ताकत पहचान ली है. Thank you very much, Mr. Patil. Very kind of you. I'm overwhelmed by the introduction. I don't even know if I should say anything now. It was very, very kind of you, sir. All members of the Ajit Knowledge Forum, of the Ajit family, their friends. If you permit, I'll switch between English and Hindi. If some people have difficulty with Hindi, please forgive me. दोनों भाषाओं का प्रयोग करने में I feel more comfortable. So I'm going to share my screen. For about 30 minutes, I won't be giving you any classified information, but we will talk about what you know, except that at any time between now and tomorrow, there's a notice to airmen not to fly anywhere near Andaman and Nicobar, because whatever we are going to do there, you'll read about it. It's going to be the grandfather of Agni 5 that we test fired some time ago. So I'm sharing my screen now. There's a PowerPoint presentation for about 30 minutes, and thereafter feel free to ask questions, to make comments, to tell me whether you agree or totally disagree. We'll accept it in the spirit in which it's meant to be. So here is let me just see. All right. This is it. I'm sharing it now. Can you see my present? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Sir. Let me just make sure that you're able to hear the music also. I'm going to start that.
Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you very much. On this issue of India 2047, a chaiwala, so he has been described, gave us this vision that in 100 years since our independence from the colonial rule, we would be a developed country. And he did ask some of us whether it was possible by 2047. So हमारा जवाब एक बड़ा simple था कि 2047 is too far away. We'll do it much before that. So to all the sons and daughters of India, आप लोग जो मेरे साथ इस समय बैठे हैं, the runway is absolutely clear. There's nothing, I repeat, nothing that can stop us except we ourselves. Now this was the Shiv Tandav Strotam. और एक चीज हमेशा मैं कहता हूं जो भारत को बुरा चाहते हैं, that we have the Lord Shiva with us. Don't compel us to open the third eye. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, for then I will become the destroyer of worlds. And that, I believe, is a message that is getting across everywhere. Now, हम लोग बात करते हैं कि ये समस्या है, वो समस्या है, etc., ये problem है, वो problem, million mutinies, that was the title of a book. And yet, despite all this, how do we achieve so much in diplomacy, defense, economy, in infrastructure, in culture, in technology? Everybody tells us we're not doing well here, we're not doing well there. Some fellow who used to be a senior economist, वो अब कहीं अमेरिका चला जाता है, फिर हमको गाली देता है वहां से, कोई दूसरा कुछ लिख देता. If despite all this we are doing well, how is it? And I really think, I'm reminded of an old Hindi song, and I'll play it for you. अगर इसे समझ सको, मुझे भी समझाना. If you can understand how we are doing this despite all our warts and freckles, अगर इसे समझ सको तो मुझे भी समझाना. I fail to understand. We all live within our realities. मेरी दो सच्चाइयां हैं. One, that I'm 73 years young. And second, as you very kindly said, I'm still very handsome. Even though my wife doesn't think so. So to all the pretty ladies who are watching this show, I have a message for you. Here I come. What we are seeing is that the world structure that we created in 1945, there's my grandmother's grandmother's grandmother who lives in New York. I think she's still alive, although she's going to be 80 next year, otherwise known as the United something or the United Nations, I believe. And what we are seeing is that the old system is dying. The new system is stuck in the womb. They won't let it be born. So we are living between two systems. When I was in school, हमें बताया जाता था कि दो time zones थे, eras, BC, which became BC before the Christian era, and then there was AD, Anno Domini. Now we have three: BC before COVID, DC during COVID, and AC after COVID, because it hasn't gone away yet. Question for all the Ajits and their families. Europe, United States, Canada, Japan, Australia, South Korea, Singapore. इनको डेवलप किसने किया था? चंद्रमा से कोई नहीं आया था, समुद्र से निकल के कोई नहीं आया, मंगल ग्रह से कोई नहीं आया. It was the people of those countries. And if you accept that, sir, then that begs the question, why have we wasted so many years? What's wrong with us? How is it that our people go overseas, people of the Ajit family? You reach the highest levels in your careers. You go and head the world's largest corporations. What happens to us within the country? I don't have an answer. India looks different. And you're going to tell me, why is it sideways? इसका एक ही जवाब मैं दे सकता हूं. भारत को विदेशी की नजर से मत देखो. भारत को भारत की नजर से देखो. If you look at India as it's meant to be looked at, you will understand. Why do I say this is the north, south, east, west? Because 500 years ago, some stupid Dutch fellow called Mercator decided that the world's maps would follow that projection. The older, much older Indian maps don't have that idea of north, south, east, west. So you can do what you want. Here, Jammu Kashmir becomes the west, the south becomes the east, the west becomes the south, and then the northeast becomes the crown jewel of India. So look at India from an entirely different perspective. On the hill, winning hearts across the world. Now, this great-grandmother of mine, the United Nations, who's dying in New York, she's published a report last year saying unbelievable improvement in India, and she doesn't like us. These days, she's talked about the arrest of the Delhi chief minister and hoping that everybody will get a fair trial. That nonsense these fellows keep talking. This month itself, she's published another report saying that India's achievements are remarkable in a better quality. देखिए, मैंने पैसे नहीं दिए इनको, और ये मुझसे कुछ खास मोहब्बत नहीं करते, because we give it back to them straight. So why are they saying all this? Here are some figures that might be of interest to you. 99.75% of Bharat has Bijli. 99.75. The other 0.25%, probably some little island somewhere with 2.5 people living there. Extreme poverty, as per the United Nations, is less than 2%. Our population growth is 1.9. Let me explain what this means. The replacement rate for you to reach population stability is 2.1. Hum do, hamare do. So we'll have two children. The point one is, if the Chinese decide to unleash another virus or some war takes place or a natural disaster, then we'll need to replenish that. Otherwise, 2 is the normal thing. We have hit 1.9. Question, why are we still growing in terms of population? Because we are living longer. We are producing fewer children, but we have an extended lifespan. And hence we'll continue to grow till 2030, after which we'll stabilize. By 2050, we'll begin to decline. We built one toilet every 2 seconds for the first time in human history. I didn't do it. The Prime Minister didn't do it. The masons did it. The people of the village did it. The carpenters did it. The electricians did it. The civil servants presided over it. They monitored it. The number of IITs and medical colleges that are growing by the day. You are familiar with the Ramayana. I wear on my chest, I can't show it to you now, an image of a bear, Jambavanta. Jambavanta was the king of the bears who, when the Lord Hanuman was sitting in Rameshwaram, the southern part of India, wondering how to go to Lanka, which was 40 course, 120 kilometers away. He didn't know what to do. So he was just sitting there meditating. And Jambavanta came to him and said, Hanuman, remember your strength. And that's the moment when the Lord Hanuman, in one magnificent leap, was able to jump from Rameshwaram to Lanka. The rest, you know what has happened. So today we have Jambavanta in each one of us, reminding us of our self-confidence, self-esteem, self-reliance. and our pride. When I travel across the world today, I share this with the United States, Europe, Africa. They see my passport as an Indian, and there's a smile from ear to ear that this is one country that has done so well. Enemies of India, ki panga mat lena humse, will teach you a lesson. 1948, the then British commander-in-chief of the Indian Army, some coot whose name I don't remember. Harvard scholars in 68, Western journalists every day writing books on the imminent breakup of India. We have a nasty habit. We prove all these jokers wrong. And that is why we say, sir, about the white man. It's my favorite line in a song. These guys have no business commenting on it. I know what is good for my country. I mean the people of India. We will decide what we need. Diplomacy. We are the leader of the global south. There's no question about it. We are not timid and diffident anymore. I remember when I joined the service in 73, my late father was involved in the 62 ops against the Chinese when we didn't do very well. But when I joined, we always used to be told, look, don't offend the Chinese, kya bolenge, kya karenge, etc. Today, we don't care. We have the strength to tell them to back off. We're not timid, we're not diffident. We are consulted on all global issues. The world wants us to solve the Ukraine-Russia issue. Look at this tribute to our diplomacy. Sir, I remember 2 years ago, the Deputy National Security Advisor of the US had come to India. And he was a person of Indian origin. And then this is a favorite US phrase, there will be consequences. So he came and said, why don't you guys abuse Putin after the invasion of Ukraine? We said, why should he? He said, if you don't, there will be consequences. So we asked him, are you threatening us? Go fly a kite and climb the Qutb Minar and jump without a parachute. Well, he went back to Washington, D.C. and got a little note from that stupid old man who claims to run the United States. He got a little letter from him saying, thank you very much for your services, go home. And now the foreign minister of Ukraine, who used to abuse us for not criticizing Russia, he comes to India to beg us to intercede. Who do these guys think they are? And why can't the Americans talk to the Russians? Because they've called Mr. Putin a killer, a war criminal, a murderer, all kinds of things. He's not going to talk to them. They talk to me. This is the maturity of Indian diplomacy and what I call our hug diplomacy. You see our Prime Minister, he goes hugging everybody he meets. They absolutely love it. Look at the number of countries, including Islamic countries, that have given their highest honor to India's leaders. It's a recognition of India's diplomatic strength. Since 2003, 21 years, we do not accept any foreign assistance. There's a background to this. I was posted in Spain at that time. Oh, it's showing 220, yeah, we should go, one extra zero, 2023. I was posted in Spain. We had this massive earthquake, 2001 in Bhuj, Gujarat. Spanish, very nice people, sent us a lot of overcoats to be sent to the fellows in Bhuj. Now, how do we tell them that the temperature around the year is between 30 and 35 degrees? So we just burnt the overcoats outside the embassy. And then we got a call. I personally accepted it from the DC, the then Deputy Commissioner Bhuj, saying, sir, the Spanish have sent a dog squad. And for the last 3 days, I'm looking for dog food. I'm supposed to be rescuing the people here, not doing this kind of nonsense. So we decided that that was it. And then the movement came about that we would not take any more aid. Instead, we now help 150 countries. I repeat, 150 countries receive assistance from India. In diplomacy, sir, we have the duck syndrome. When you look at a duck floating on the water, everything is calm and placid. But if you look below the surface, the feet are paddling furiously. That's what we do. How do you think we got our naval heroes back from Qatar? We didn't threaten them. We didn't bribe them. We just exercised our diplomatic relationship with them. And they very happily sent them back to us. And we followed their procedure. The death sentence was commuted to imprisonment, and then the Emir very graciously said, all right, I cancel the imprisonment. They are free to go back. Tsunami 2004, we were the first responders. We forget this, sir. To all our naval officers here, you will remember that within 48 hours, we had mobilized 5,000 of our sailors. We had mobilized 25 ships or even more. We went to Sri Lanka, we went to Indonesia, we went to Malaysia, we went to Myanmar, we went to Bangladesh, we went to Andaman and Nicobar. We were the first. And then, of course, my uncle who lives in Washington at that point of time said, oh, we'll work with our Indian partners to make sure the relief gets there. I hope I was able to imitate the American accent. And so we said, Tiger, who's asked you to come? But anyway, now that you want to come, you are welcome. Maldives ran out of drinking water. We were the first to send it. Nepal. If you remember the earthquake in 2015, the worst in Nepal's history, they're still feeling the after effect. So we were meeting within 15 minutes on what to do. And within 8 hours, thanks to the Indian Air Force, our relief supplies landed in Kathmandu. The then Prime Minister of Nepal said, my country is blessed to have a neighbor like India. और मैं क्या कह सकता हूँ सर? इससे बड़ा tribute to India और कौन देगा? And now earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. You know, people asked me, because I was involved, why have you sent assistance to Turkey? And the answer we got from the chief was, और उसका leader, उसका पागल सा president है, वो बर्दोबान, एर्दोबान, गर्दोबान, जो भी बेवकूफ का नाम है, वो हमें गाली देता, ये तो ठीक है, पर हमारी तुर्की के लोगों के साथ क्या दुश्मनी? Look at the thought process in Sanatan Dharma. I don't have enmity with those guys. Let their leader abuse me. Why should I punish those people? So we sent our assistance to them. China's visiting card went to 200 countries, sir. It said virus. Mine to 200 countries said vaccine. I didn't have enough vaccines, yet I shared it, whatever I had, with over 100 nations. ये जो हम वासुदेव कुटुंबन की बात करते हैं, sir, it's not just a shibboleth. It's not something that I say for effect. We actually believe the world is one family. तभी तो उनको दिया. आपके परिवार में किसी को तकलीफ होती है, you go out of your way to help. India. There's something that I want to tell you. When we were facing the Chinese onslaught, we did not have a single manufacturer of personal protective equipment. Not one. It's the stuff the doctors wear. We didn't have it. And then the call went out, help. And sir, within 3 months, we had 600 Indian companies making personal protective equipment. Some of them stopped whatever they were doing and moved to this because that was the call. Then there used to be a president of the United States, a chap called McDonald Trump, not McDonald Trump, whatever the fellow's name was. He's going to be the president again. Sorry, I should say it with more respectfully, Mr. Donald Trump. This guy then tweeted, India has been great. We'll never forget. Coming from the president of the United, you like him, you hate him, it doesn't matter. With a tremendous endorsement of the fact that we had sent medicines to the United States. Burj Khalifa in Dubai lit with our national colors, with the message, stay strong, India. And sir, 5,000 of our doctors, nurses, ambulance drivers, ward boys, pharmacists, they sacrificed themselves so we could live, sir. They died to save us. They did not have that personal protective equipment, but they didn't run away from their jobs. They were right there. Remember when hundreds of thousands of our people walked back to their villages, unko dara diya tha social media ne. We opened our homes, we opened our churches, we opened our temples, we opened our gurdwaras for these people. We were giving them food. Those passing by our residents, my wife and I were standing there with the table. Khana le jaye. Boli, madam, humne bahut kha liya already. So carry it with you for your journey. This is India, sir. This is the strength of India. And that is why सारी दुनिया के लोग हमें प्यार से क्या कहते हैं, हमको प्यार से इंडिया वाले छू लेते हैं, हम दिल के तार को छू लेते हैं सर, हम इंडिया वाले हैं. Defense, that the admiral, the general will know. The third most powerful military in the world. Agni 5, the most powerful ever invented. We don't talk about it too much. Nobody has anything like that. Hypersonic missiles that we are building. And our Navy, the coordinated submarine drills have shocked our adversaries. इसीलिए sir, हम दुश्मन को क्या बोलते हैं, you know, those who try and mess around with our naval strength, what we tell them? चट्टान उसका सीना भी फट जाता है. 40% of all our defense needs are now domestically produced. This is Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are exporting the BrahMos. They've just started this month to the Philippines. And the Chinese are running scared. The Vietnamese want it, the Indonesians want it. Some other countries from Latin America want it. It's going. And it's 100% ours. They're not taking the joint production thing. They're taking our indigenous version. What about these Red Sea fellows, these pirates, Somalis and Houthis? So what am I doing in the Red Sea? They're not hurting me. They're not hitting my ships. Today we've saved these Pakistani fellows. I'm there to tell the world that I can reach out to any part of the Indian Ocean, which is my area, the Indian Ocean. And I'm the security provider here. Nobody else can do what I can do. I was at the Munich Security Conference listening to an Arab minister, and he said something very interesting. It didn't get coverage. He said the Americans ran away. They used to be our security providers. Russia is preoccupied with Ukraine. Europe is old and doddering. China, we don't trust. That leaves Bharat, the only superpower that can help us. I didn't say it. I just listened to this guy. We depend on Bharat for our security. 42 nations, by the way, hold joint military exercises with us, more than do it with the United States. They understand our strength. And then technology, Chandrayaan 3, then the launch of 104 satellites 7 years ago from a single rocket. You know, sir, something that I asked the chairman of ISRO. I said, what's the big deal in launching 104 satellites? The previous record was 35 or something from a Russian rocket. He said, we can launch 104 satellites. How do you prevent them from colliding with each other? It's only the Indian brain that could do it. And then our digital public infrastructure being now copied in over 60 countries. We all have smartphones. Are we aware कि हम 1 सेकंड के अंदर 5,000 डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शंस करते हैं? 5,000, 1,200 करोड़ पर मंथ. एक महीने में हम 1,200 करोड़ डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शंस करते हैं. अमेरिका वो 3 साल में करता. And if my wife has just gone to Chandigarh from Delhi in the Vande Bharat, and she says, I don't believe this. The quality of service in the train, the cleanliness, the speed, totally unbelievable. They are the best in the world. Technology. You heard of this software carpenter, a chap called, I know him, I jokingly call him Billu Bhai Gates. So we call him a carpenter because his name is Gates, but he makes windows. He says, go to India, see the phenomenal innovation taking place. And by the way, next time I see him, I'll ask him, your name is Gates, why do you make windows? Maybe he'll give me some funny answer for that. Y2K, do you remember what happened in 2000? Hundreds, thousands of our IT specialists went all across Europe, went to North America to deal with the Y2K bug. Suddenly the world began to take notice. And semiconductors, the first will roll out by December 2024, made in India, the chips. Then our jam trinity, not the jam that you have at breakfast, but the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile. That is a game changer, much admired by the world. I have 100 crore smartphones in my country. 100 crore, 1 billion smartphones, and 700 million dumb phones. Total 170 crore for a population of 140 crore. 3 Bharatis join the internet every second, 2 are from rural areas. And of 1 billion internet users, half are from rural areas. अरे कौन कहता है rural India पीछे रह गया है? जाके देखो तो सही गांव में क्या हो रहा है. Look at the kids, they're all carrying smartphones. This is one of my favorite Malayalam songs. It's a disco song. And then you remember the other Billu Bhai from Punjab, Billu Bhai Clinton. So he was asked in the 1990s, why should we vote for you? He said, it's the economy, stupid. It is the economy, stupid. The stock market has gone mad. Please look at the figures yesterday. We've never hit the figures that we are looking at, either in Sensex or in Nifty or whatever else we have. 2 bank accounts per second. 2 bank accounts per second. Do you realize what this means? We have 500 million bank accounts today. 55% are linked to our women. We're already a $4 trillion economy. Or you can say 3.9999 or whatever. And we'll be the world's 3rd largest by 2026. How far away is 2026? 2 years. We'll probably be next year the world's 3rd largest. but the rate at which we are growing, the rate at which our productivity is increasing. To measure GDP, I'm a development economist. So it's total value of goods and services. So if instead of one pair of shoes, I produce two, my GDP goes up by that much. That's what we are doing in terms of productivity. CEO of McKinsey, you heard of McKinsey and Company, he says, ये भारत का दशक नहीं है, decade नहीं है, भारत की century. Something very interesting, our first $1 trillion in GDP, I think we reached it in 2007. It took us 60 years. Second took us 10 years. Third took us 5 years. The fourth has taken us 2.5 years. And the fifth trillion, which we hope to do by next year, will be in probably 2 years, 1.5 years. This is the real Vande Bharat Express. And then, we've ordered more than 1,600 commercial aircraft. More are coming soon. The biggest order in aviation history. Why? Because of the opportunity for every Indian to travel by plane. Look at the thought process. And of course, these countries from which we've ordered our planes, French are the smartest. They haven't said a word either about the CAA or whatever about the political goings on, because if they open their mouth like the UK tried to do and then shut up, we said, well, we know about the aircraft, maybe we'll review our decision. Kick them on their stomach. They behave. We're already the fourth largest in the world. Capital is a coward. Capital, I'm a development economist, is a glutton, wants safety, wants growth. $71 billion came in foreign direct investment last year, despite the Chinese virus. And more interesting, $46 billion was invested by Indian companies overseas. So all these ambassadors based in Delhi from foreign countries make a beeline for our economic ministries, begging for Indian investment. They go to Mumbai, they attend all these FICCI things and CII and ask our people to go and invest. India now begins to invest. We become one of the largest investors overseas. Last year, remittances we used to call them non-reliable Indians. Now we call them non-resident Indians. $125 billion, the largest in our history. Double of the next country, which is Mexico. $125 billion because the capital is safe in India. Third largest number of billionaires in the world, good thing, bad thing, I don't know. But our total private wealth is twice the size of our economy, 8.2 trillion, sixth largest in the world. And by the way, the number one item we spend it on is looking better. So please make sure your wives go there as often as possible. I go there myself to get my hair cut. I have 650,000 towns and villages in India, and we have 15 million beauty parlors. Amazing statistics, isn't it, for India? और फिर कहते हैं ये गरीब देश है. Look at the way we look after our bodies. Half of all foreign direct investment in Bharat, we've received $1 trillion since 1947. वो पिछले 8 साल में आया from 160 countries. We have 125,000 startups in the tech sector, and about half are led by young women. Look at this youth power. Look at the energy. We no longer talk of unicorns. We now talk of decacorns. सर ये कहाँ जा रहे हैं हम लोग? समझिए इस ताकत को सर. जंबोवंता ने हमें जगा दिया है. हमने अपनी ताकत पहचान ली है. Capital will, of course, always go where it needs to. Infrastructure, the craziest binge in our history. 28 kilometers of highway per day, ये कौन सा देश करता है? 8 एयरपोर्ट एक साल के अंदर कौन सा देश करता है? 2 मेट्रो एक साल के अंदर कौन सा देश करता है? ये हम करते हैं सर. तो हमें जरूरत है. Take a look at the infrastructure. Photograph I took in New York. No, I didn't. I took it in Dwarka, in the nation's capital. Here's another one. This one is from France. No, it isn't. It's from Mumbai. Here's one. I took this in San Francisco before the bridge came down, or in Baltimore. No, it isn't. This is in Mumbai. Here's another one. This is the bridge over the river Chenab. ये कौन कर रहा है सर? ये देखिए. The world's strongest cable stayed bridge. ये कौन बना रहा है? ये हम बना रहे हैं सर. ये कोई गोरा नहीं बना रहा. ये भारतीय बना रहे हैं. हमारी कंपनियां बना रहे हैं. Education. In the Mahabharata, Yudhishthira's 4 brothers are lying senseless because they don't answer the question of the guardian spirit. Guardian spirit then asks Dharmaputra, what is a person's most valuable possession? And Dharmaputra says, education. So we have 60,000 colleges and universities in India today. We had 500 in 1950. We open 2 new colleges every day. I repeat, 2 new colleges every day. I have 1.5 million schools. America's population is 33 crores. I have 34 crore students. And more than half are our daughters. Oh, बिल्कुल सर गाली दीजिए वो list आई है of the best universities भारत का नाम नहीं है नहीं. I didn't know that God was in the business of making these lists. Some white man sitting somewhere makes the list. So I can make my own list. The Indian IITs and the IIMs will be amongst the top 5,000. Our engineering college, the rest will be nowhere. ये जो बनाता है, the person who writes history determines it. Then culture, Ayurveda, Indian films. I'm special advisor in 3 African countries. The king of one of those countries was a great friend of mine. Every time I'm going, he says, "Koi nayi Hindi film aayi hai, uska CD leke aa." I absolutely love Indian film. Sanatan Dharam, yoga. We have an international day of yoga, you know. Now we soon have an international day of Ayurveda. And then when we built our temple in Abu Dhabi, I'm not going to tell you where, but soon you will be shocked when you hear which Islamic country is going to have the next BAP Swaminarayan. One out of 3 Japanese today is above 60. 1 out of 4 Europeans, 1 out of 6 Chinese, and 1 out of 12 Indians. My teacher at the Sorbonne, Alfred Sauvy, God rest his soul, he used to say that Europe will soon be an old continent of old people living in old homes, discussing old ideas. Our greatest strength is our human capital, sir. With young minds, we will lead the world. We'll be the youngest country in the world for the next 50 years. And by 2030, 6 years, 3/4 of the world's millennials and Gen Z, 3/4, sir, please note, 3/4 will be Indians. The educated millennials and Gen Z will be Indians. Look at the disruption and innovation in Bharat. Phenomenal. Take a look at this chart if you can see it. The median age in India, not the average age, median age is 29, which means half of all 70 crore Indians are less than 29 and half are more than 29. So I always tell school kids that half like you and I are less than 29 and half like your mommy, daddy are a little more than 29. Japan, which is the oldest country in the world, the median age is 49. Sir, they have forgotten how to make babies. Mr. Patel, we have the technology, we can teach them. Now, last year, Japanese mothers throughout the whole country produced 7.5 lakh babies. 750,000 in 2023 in the whole country. We produce more than that in the nation's capital, New Delhi. We have the technology, so we'll be able to share it. And this used to be a joke that between me and the former late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, he was a great friend. He said, we look to India to guide us how to stabilize our population. The number 1 disease in the UK today is loneliness and depression. They even have a minister for loneliness. So does Japan. Can you believe it? A minister for loneliness. And they say they have 1 crore lonely people. Many of them are rich widows. So they were training people to be companions. I also sent my photograph. That, you know, rich widows, England, let me go. But of course, they sent back a response saying, we are lonely, but we're not that lonely. Stupid fellows. It just smashed my ego. And then in our entrepreneurs, our young workforce, you see the dynamism? Deloitte and Goldman Sachs, they carry out this generation survey. Take a look at the latest one. Millennials and Gen Z, the most optimistic are the Indians. They will shape one of the world's most compelling stories. I didn't tell them to write this. I didn't pay them. This is their assessment. Sir, it wasn't always like this. Some of you will remember the brain drain, 50s, 60s, our best and brightest went away. 60s, our agriculture collapsed. It didn't rain, sir. 65, we fought a war. And my mother, Bharat, was lying cracked and open from the north to the south, east to the west. Mrs. Indira Gandhi went to beg for wheat from the United States. New York Times wrote, India's leader comes begging. The Americans are stupid fellows. You don't humiliate a foreign leader like that. We were told not to eat on Mondays. I don't know, Mr. Patel, if you remember. I don't know, Mr. Dalwai, if you remember. But 52 days, I repeat, 52 days in 1996, I have slept hungry, sir. Ask me what hunger is. Our children don't know. I know. I slept hungry. 1947, just my body was free, sir, when we became independent. Netaji's statue, when we put it in India Gate. Please read about this. The British Prime Minister at the time we got our independence was a chap called Batley, Catley, or something like that. And that fool was asked in 1956, I think, in Kolkata. He was on a personal visit. He was no longer Prime Minister. That why did you run away from India in 1947? Gandhiji's Quit India movement had collapsed in 1942. So why did you run away? Were you scared of Gandhi? And his response was very telling. He said, the guy who said, slap me on one cheek, I'll turn the other. No, we were not scared of him. We were scared of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. 2.5 million Indians fought in the Second War to preserve the British Empire. Netaji came from Singapore with 25,000 Indians. Dilli chalo, tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi do. So who's our real hero? So when we put him in the honored place at India Gate, at the gateway of India, sir, that day my mind was also liberated. Chandrayaan-3 liberated my self-confidence, landing when no other spacecraft had gone. And so when Ram Lalla came home in January, meri atma bhi us din azad ho gayi, sir. He came home. That's why we say now we can do anything, sir. And scared of our rise. Wait, sir, अभी तो इलेक्शन आ रही है, अभी तो गालियां देखो कितनी पड़ेंगी बीबीसी पे, CNN पे, और डेमोक्रेसी मर गई, ये मर गया, वो मर गया, भूखे मर रहे हैं, खाने को नहीं है, पीने को नहीं है, इनकम गैप बढ़ रही है, सब बकवास आप पढ़ेंगे. And this is all meant to destroy your self-confidence. They will have negative perceptions. And you know what we tell them, sir? That if this is your perception of India, then we advise you to go learn the lungi dance. We are not interested. Chanakya, we are the children of Chanakya, sir. 2,400 years ago, he had said that when the right action is not taken at the right time, then time will cause that action to fail. Victor Hugo had said 170 years ago, no power on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. Which idea's time has come? An American diplomat, not by me. Our time has come. How India is making its place in the world. Our time has come. Sons and daughters of India, हमारा समय आ गया है. अब कोई मुझे रोक नहीं सकता. A little story about a mother. I'm sure we're all married. We all have children. 4 साल का बच्चा था सर, ये मुझे कहानी बताई गई थी. He was in coma, in ICU for 4 days. और उसकी माँ in Dehradun, 70 साल पहले की बात है, लकड़ी के स्टूल पे बैठी रहती थी. They were not allowed into the ICU. Just looking. And later I was told that it appeared as if her body was there because she was not eating or drinking, just having chai. But her soul had gone, her spirit had gone. Perhaps to fight with Yamraj, I don't know. That kid survived. The doctor said it was a miracle. How do I know this story, sir? I was that child, sir. I know what my mother went through. We call India our mother, sir. जब माँ की संतान को तकलीफ होती है, वो भगवान से भिड़ जाती है, सर. तो हम तो भारत को माँ कहते हैं. माँ तो लेबनान गई, लीबिया गई, यमन गई, साउथ सुडान गई, यूक्रेन गई, सूडान गई, इजराइल गई, अपने बच्चों को वापस ला. Do you see the message to the world? Do you see the message to the Indian diaspora? That India is there, Bharat is there to help if you are in trouble. हम तो माँ को पूछते हैं, sir. She's the most important. And then we had the G20 summit. The future was made in New Delhi. You know, sir, in January of last year, we decided to have a virtual summit because ये जो 150 developing countries है, इनकी तो कोई बात सुनता नहीं. ये बेचारा एम्बेसडर लिसोथो का खड़ा होकर यूएन में कुछ कहता है, जी मेरी ये समस्या, सब कहता है चुप करके बैठ जाओ, लिसोथो से पता नहीं कहां से आ गया. So we had a virtual summit. कि तुम्हारी क्या problem? And they told us what their challenges were, and we incorporated it in the Delhi Declaration. For the first time in a G20 meeting, the declarations were produced on the first day. not on the second. And then from all three countries where I serve, ministers called me to say, Mr. Ambassador, we have selected India as our partner. India is our choice. So I gave them that answer from that old jingle. Yehi hai right choice, baby. Yehi hai right choice, baby, if you have selected India. And in our new technology, in our new world, hyper technology will drive everything. Engineered intelligence, digitally, everything. You know, we call it, I call it engineered intelligence. You call it artificial intelligence. I have a mobile phone. I used to have a dumb phone, but my daughter sent me this phone. I don't know if you can see it, which is made by a fruit company. I think it's called Apple or something like that. And she said, Dad, you're getting old. So I said, Buddha tera baap ho raha, main kahan se Buddha ho raha. Anyway, she said, if you forget where you are, you can ask this lady. So sometimes I do forget what I want to do. So I ask this woman who lives inside, I think her name is Miri or Siri or something like that. And she tells me everything. She's a CIA agent. But once I decided to check her out, so I asked her, where am I? I think I was that time in Nagaland. So she says, you're in Kohima, Nagaland in northeastern India. I said, she's smart. I said, now I'll trap her. I said, what's my wife's name? You know what she answered? Which wife? So I felt like throwing my phone away. I'm glad my wife was not there. 47 years, I have only one wife. Stupid woman says, which wife? To all Indians, to all sons and daughters of India, yeah, bharosa karo, have confidence. Darna hai na, to dar se daro. But dar ke aage jeet hai. Don't be cynical. It does not empower you. It paralyzes you. किसी ने फकीर से पूछा था मैं दुनिया कैसे बदलूं? फकीर बोला अपने आप को बदलो पहले. Begin with yourself. The fakir's name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Height of the Kargil conflict, this young Bharati villager, sir, he asked if he could register for the army, lame in both legs. His legs were lost in a train accident. He was told that it would be difficult for him, and his answer, and this was told to me by the then Army Chief General Malik. He was then, his response, listen to this, all the military people, his response, मैं फौज में आ रहा हूं दुश्मन से लड़ने के लिए दुश्मन से भागने के लिए भी. Let's look at the spirit of India. Let's look at our sons and daughters, their commitment, their passion for the country. सर कटा सकते हैं लेकिन सर झुका सकते. I took in Sikkim, sir, the massive earthquake 2011. Another story. September 2011, I was there. On the right side is the Tista River. The road connecting Siliguri to Gangtok was broken in 300 places. Sir. 300. The mountain breaks when the earthquake comes, carries the road. We asked the Austrians, they have the best technology for tunneling in the world. They called it the new Austrian method. The mountainous country. We said, how long will you take? One of their companies did a survey and said it'll take us 3 months to mobilize, 3 months to repair, 3 months to stabilize, 9 months or so, plus so many millions of dollars. We couldn't wait, sir, for 9 months. How do you feed your people through helicopters? So the then Prime Minister said, ask the border roads, part of the Indian Ministry of Defense. I did. I called their Director General. Said, how long will you take? And he said, let me do a survey. And as I stand before you, and as God is my witness, 19 hours later, 19 hours, he called back. He said, tell the Prime Minister, the road is open. In 19 hours, sir, we were able to do it. What they wanted, 9 months. We lost a lot of our children, 22.
जो देश को चाहते हैं, वो और कुछ नहीं चाहते.
22 kids we lost. They were working round the clock, our boys, with minimal security precautions. That's India. I went to a Sikkimese home. She had lost her 26-year-old child. He was in the border roads. She said, please help me. I'll get the money. She knew that she would get compensation from everybody. She said, I have a younger child, get him a job in border roads. I just looked at her. I said, but your elder boy was in border roads. He died for India. She says, yeah, give my younger child the option to die for India. So the water rushed into my eyes. It still does. I held her hand in mine and I said, Ma, tujhe salam. If I'm born in India again, may it be from the womb of a mother like you. From childhood, I've wondered what defines us as Bharati, and then I understood. We are not Indians because we live in India, sir. We are Indians because India lives in us. हमारी कसम सर, हम विकसित भारत की पहचान This is a very personal slide, but because many of you are from the military, many of you are in senior positions. Sir, as someone, I loved him dearly, sir. He didn't return from Kargil. And so the military people will recognize there's a little stone in Kargil, in the place Toluling, where he fell. He was a captain. And there it says, scattered in the dust, silent I remain. When India's bugle calls, I will rise again, sir. My time is coming. My expiry date is approaching. I'll come back. I'll come back to India. Sri Aurobindo had said 115 years ago, India was rising. India doesn't exist for herself. India exists for humanity. We talk of Vasudev Kutumbakam. He had talked about this 115 years ago. The runway, sir, is open. No one can stop us now. Yaad hai aapko ye dil mange more? You remember that? Very common thing. Do you know why ye dil mange more? Kyunki
अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है
the party is just starting. Thank you, Ma Bharti, for letting me serve you. Thank you, Ajit, for giving me this opportunity to talk with you. I've taken a little longer than I should have, but I get carried away. And when I talk of Bharat, sir, I just don't know what happened. I lose my soul. I lose my body. I lose everything. I merge with the divinity because I see Bharat as divine. She's my mother, sir. Aur maan nahi hai meri. Yehi hai. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, sir, for your, I don't know how to express in words. It was truly an electrifying speech. Every sentence you spoke, I can say this, it was a goosebump moment for all of us. And I can unabashedly say, your voice can actually bring back the dead, sir. And I believe, as I had promised the viewers, I'm sure everyone unanimously would agree that each and every word touched our souls. It was truly an invigorating experience.
I got a bit emotional, sir. Forgive me. At my age, I shouldn't get emotional. But when we talk of Bharat, क्या करूं, sir? दिल पे सीधी बात दिल में जाती है, sir.